What's up, guys? Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I've had this electric bike for about 2 weeks now, and I've been playing with it a lot. And I figured I'd do a review for you guys because this thing's been a blast. This is the Vitalin, I don't know how you say it exactly, but the V3 electric bike. So this thing has a 14 kilowatt battery, and it is 750 watts, I believe is what they claim. It's supposed to go about 30 to 40 miles on a charge, 32 mile per hour top speed. It's got off-road tires on it. Kind of this little metal rack thing for, I guess, luggage, whatever you want to do. I wear a backpack, so I don't really care about that, but still cool that they give you that. So it is a 7-speed in the actual pedal form. If you want to use that, I mean, it's only for the pedals, not for the electric part. The electric part has a gear indicator thing up here, so this little plus or minus, you can go from 1 to 5 depending on how fast you want to go. I just leave it in 5 because why would I want to go slower? This is your gear indicator for pedal version, so that will actually change your gears back here if you want to pedal at different speeds, just like a regular mountain bike. It's a 7-speed, so it's not like your current 21 speeds, but you've got electric pedal assist on it, so you don't really need it. Basically, when you pedal, it gives you electric boost depending on what speed you have set on your plus or minus, which is really cool. Up here on the front, you can lock the suspension completely so it doesn't have any rebound or any dampening, or you can unlock it, and then that way I've got it set pretty stiff because it comes pretty loose from the factory, so you can adjust the dampening up there. Headlight, obviously, pretty sweet reflectors. So it's got one disc up front, one disc in the back, and when I got this bike, the brakes were not very well set, to be honest with you, but super easy to adjust. All you do is adjust it just like a motorcycle, but what is different than a motorcycle is the brake is on the wrong side. So I don't know, bicycles may be like this may be normal for regular mountain bikes, but this is the front brake and that is the rear brake, where on a motorcycle that's the clutch, that's your front brake. I was doing wheelies on it actually, and I looped it. I tried to grab what I thought was the rear brake, turned out to be the front brake, and I flipped it over like literally the first day I got it. See all these little scratches? Yeah, I busted my knee up and stuff. But either way, we're gonna go out, we're gonna do trails. I'm gonna test the distance on it. I've already put about 4 miles on this charge. Yeah, if you guys see me panting, it's because it's like freaking 100 degrees and I'm wearing my motorcycle helmet, because that was the only way I could vlog it to you guys. Either way, let's go out and do some trails first. So I'm gonna do some of these less gnarly trails over here, and then we'll go do the actual dirt gnarly trails, and we'll see how this thing handles them. So one of the things that took me a minute to get used to, is it doesn't instantly let off power when you let off power. It kind of gives you a little more than you would have thought, so you kind of got to cover the brakes, because as soon as you hit the brakes, it cuts power. I mean, it will let off power, but it kind of stays on for a second or two after you let off. Can get you into a little bit sticky situation. So like right here, I am mode 3, which is middle power mode. I'm not using pedals at all. So this is a pretty gnarly hill. I'm gonna have to pedal with it. Oh, Jesus. Whew. It will make it up these hills, but you got to give it a little bit of assist on stuff like that. That's pretty steep. So the suspension is actually not bad for stuff like this. It handles it pretty well. It's not going to be as good as a straight up mountain bike, like a top of the line, but this thing, the price point of this bike is right around $1,300. So it's not cheap by any means, but for what you're getting, it's not bad. So I have been doing some testing on it. I wanted to get some miles on it before I showed you guys the bike, and before I showed you guys my thoughts, because I've been having a ton of fun on this thing. We're gonna go hit the other trails. This trail wasn't very long, but I've put like 13 miles on it, and it's supposed to do 30 to 40 miles per hour on one charge, which I kind of believe. I'm gonna test a good chunk of that today, because of those 13 miles was mostly one ride, and I barely lost 1 bar of battery. Stuff like this may drain the battery a little bit faster doing hills and trails like this, because it's a lot harder on the bike trying to go over terrain, up hills, down hills. Ooh, don't want to go that way. And we did GPS the actual top speed, and on flat ground I was able, oh Jesus, A little rough through here. Don't come in that hot, boys. I was able to get right around 28 miles per hour. The tachometer said I was doing 31, so it's a couple miles per hour happy. And I weigh 150 pounds, so if you're heavier, definitely would take into account a couple mile per hour lost top speed. Now down a hill, I was able to get 38 miles per hour speedo, a little bit less than that, so around 35 miles per hour down a hill. Oh, it's super bumpy back here, guys. Tons of tree roots. It's a little wet because it rained the other day. This thing handles it really freaking well, though. You know, typical Joesty fashion, I'm going to wreck it the first day I get it. I mean, literally, I was doing wheelies in my driveway, and it just freaking came up so fast. I popped it too hard, and it came up like to 12 o'clock instantly, and I just grabbed a handful of front brake thinking it was the rear brake, and I just went right over. So I'm not going to stay on these trails for the whole review. I'm just doing a little bit of trail so you guys can see what it actually handles the off-road stuff like, and it's actually a freaking blast back here. And I'm not pedaling hardly at all. Oh my God. This is all electric right here, so it's struggling. This is a pretty high hill. It's struggling pretty hard right now, guys. And it's fine now. Holy Jesus. Now give it some pedals. So the pedal assist is really where it's at. So, I mean, I'm just stopping to show you guys how gnarly these are. I don't know if the GoPro can show all this, but I mean, that's like a freaking 2-foot drop. This is the kind of stuff I've been popping over. And I mean, it's pretty tight trails. This thing, so it does have off-road tires on. They're not super aggressive, but they're enough to get traction back here. It's pretty muddy out. It rained day before yesterday pretty much all week too. So it's only had one day to kind of dry up, and it's not very dry. So the pedal assist really helps on the tall stuff get you going. Because this thing doesn't have a ton of down-low torque, because I believe that they have it geared for more top end, which is fine because you can give it some pedals to get it going and get it up those hills. I just wanted to show you guys full electric, it kind of struggles going up real gnarly stuff. But it does really well off-road, and we're going to go do an on-road test now. And so I can show you guys, we'll see what kind of range it gets. I've already put it through its paces pretty well today, and as you can see, I'm still on full battery. So here's the display. I've put about almost 5.5 miles on it since I stopped charging it. It was at 8 miles when I started today, and we're still at full. Now that's what this says. I don't know how accurate their mile counter is, but I mean, I felt like I've done a good bit of distance. I don't know if it's been quite 5 miles. We're gonna go get on the road, and we're gonna do a GPS test of how accurate that is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna GPS from here to a store or something and let Google tell me how many miles it is. Then I'm gonna watch the actual mile counter on the bike and see how accurate it is. So I'm gonna get to the end of this neighborhood, and then we're gonna GPS out to there's this church that's like 2 miles away. We're gonna go there. But here is the pedal assist. So I'm in 4th gear. Let's go up to like 6th. I'm not giving it any throttle, I'm just pedaling, and I'm having trouble keeping up with how fast it's giving me the power. So I let off. See how it gives like a second or two before it actually lets off the power? Started pedaling again, it's going to give it a second or two before it gives it the power. So it kind of does that same thing with the throttle. Not quite that delayed, but that's where you kind of get that. You got to cover the brakes and you know what you're doing. You got to get used to the bike. It's not that bad. So far, to be honest with you guys, I've been pretty impressed with this thing. The build quality's nice. You need some adjustments out of the box. That's fine. You're going to have that with any bike. Like, battery life's pretty dang good. So we put just over 6 miles on it today, and I've lost my first bar. And like I said, back there in the woods, we just did some pretty hard trails on it in the woods, and that was pretty taxing, to be honest with you. I mean, it was uphill, downhill, wet, jumping roots. Like, I'm pretty tired, and I was letting the bike do most of the work just from trying to work it up and down that stuff. Yeah, boy, knee down action. So, I mean, you could absolutely get one of these things and do like, if you're in a city or anything like that, this could absolutely be your mode of transportation. What really turned it on for me, and what I mainly bought it for, was around the track. Like at most racetracks, I have this little crappy electric scooter. It's pretty cheap, and like most racetracks, you have to go like a quarter mile to the bathroom. So racers always have like a Grom or some kind of small mode of transportation. That's mainly what this is for. It does fold up, so if you pull this up, pull that out, you can fold this thing in half. I'm not going to fold it all the way in half, but you can fold it all the way in half. You can see that's the battery there. The battery's in here. Same thing up here. All you got to do is pinch that down. That folds down. Super easy to get it into your truck, your car, compact, whatever. All right, guys, so from right here to this church is 0.9 of a mile. We're at 14.6. So theoretically, we should be at 15.5 when we get there. We're going to test that and see how accurate this is. I have a feeling like the Speedo, it's a little bit generous. Like it's telling you went further than you actually did, but we're going to test it right now. Skiddly-doo! Give me that green light, know what I'm saying? I just pinched myself folding this bike up. Bleeding all over my new bike. So we've gained battery. I don't know if that's from a regen or just from it being a little off. I don't know. But we're back at full battery, which is kind of cool. So they definitely sacrifice some down low torque on the electric side for top end. But I mean, at this price point, I think you're gonna have to deal with that. This isn't like a $4,000 or $5,000 e-bike where they've got insane amounts of torque. You either get the higher top speed or the torquier acceleration and only like a 15 mile per hour top speed, which I would rather have top speed and be able to pedal it and get there. Because, I mean, it's not that big a deal to give it a few pedals with the electric assist. Holy crap! I just got so much air off of a crack in the sidewalk. Downhill, full tuck, boys. $32. It's not that much of a downhill, but it was a little bit. So here's the church. 15.4. It's actually freaking 15.5. It's dead nuts. So that is actually very accurate. 0.9 of a mile. We started at 14.6. Got to the church at 15.5. Very accurate. So I've put 7.5 miles on it, and we're down 1 bar. I don't doubt you could get 30 to 40 miles out of this easily. I mean, it's got 5 bars of battery. Is that right? Yeah, 5 bars of battery. I've used 1 bar and went freaking 7.5 miles. That's pretty solid. So I wanted to do this review to show you guys this sweet e-bike because I've been having a blast on it. And I really wanted it just for the track because obviously I don't need this for transportation. I've got 4 motorcycles, but I wanted this for the track so that I could use it to go to the bathroom, to go, you know, I send hammer guys. Like at my last half mile event, I had my buddy Mark doing the camera, and he would have to come all the way to the pits and go all the way back out next to the race, which honestly was like probably over a quarter mile. So one of these bikes, something like this, helps so much. And that scooter I had, like I had a $250 electric scooter I was using, which was fine for like the first half of the day, but halfway through the day it would die. Yeah, I would get like 1.5 miles out of it. And if you're making, you know, 7-8 passes in a day, and especially like this half mile event that I'm going to in August, I'm doing 2 days. I just wanted something that was going to be reliable and would actually get all the way through the day. It just makes things so much easier. So this bike checks all the boxes that I needed. Yeah, it's a little pricey being $1,300, but for what you're getting, it's really not. Other bikes in this price range are not showing better performance than this. I can't comment on their build quality. The only thing that, if I had to pick this thing apart, the mud flaps down here or whatever, the fenders for the tire, flimsy. Front and back, both flimsy. The throttle, when you let off, takes a minute to actually let off. The brakes weren't that good out of the box, but after you adjust them, the front's fine. The rear's pretty useless, but that's the same on motorcycles, so I assume bikes are about the same. The bell. Yeah, buddy. I guess that's standard equipment on bicycles. You still get the 7-speed. Charge time, I don't really know how long it takes to charge. I'd have to look at the specs. I can't remember because I just plug it in overnight and then grab it when it's charged. Not a big deal. It lasts all day unless you're literally waking up, getting on the bike, and running it until you go to bed. So my final complaint, where they have this, see how close it is to your pedal? I've gotten caught on that a few times, the kickstand. So that's like my nitpick complaints, but other than that, it's a solid bike. And I have a bunch of trails by my house. I've honestly just been going and hitting trails. I left the bike kind of dirty just to show you guys that I've been using it. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this thing. I think it's pretty gnarly. It's coming with me to all the events and stuff. So it's going to be my mode of transportation to the bathroom. It's going to be a lot of injuries from drunken hooliganism whenever we actually stay over the night at the events, because electric bike plus alcohol obviously equals a bunch of idiots. And yeah, I dig it. This thing's going to stay in the garage for a while. As always, drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Until next time, guys.